What's up, snappers? Welcome back to the channel. DDDREWSKY here. Today we're gonna be looking at the brand new card, Bruce Banner, to see if he's worth your precious resources. We're gonna be looking at his key synergies, counters, and some decks that I brewed for him. But wait, before we do that, please like the video, please subscribe to the channel. I do weekly reviews of the brand new card in Marvel Snap, so you don't want to miss out. Hit that notification bell right now. Now let's get back into it. Now the question is, who is Bruce Banner? Let's take a look. Bruce Banner in Marvel Snap is a 2-cost, 1-power card with the ability of when you end a turn with unspent energy, 25% chance to Hulk out. So this card has a crazy amount of potential to surprise your opponent, especially being a 2-cost, turning into a 12-powered card, which is insane. And with this card, hopefully it revitalizes the high evolutionary archetype. All right, now let's take a look at some of the pros and cons about Bruce Banner. Let's take a look. So the first pro I want to talk about is that it's an easy ability to achieve with a low cost, right? 2 costs turning to 12 power is insane. So another pro about him is that it's a passive ability, right? You can just throw him on the board and then just have some unspent energy and then hopefully and pray that it will turn into a 12 power card. 25% is like the same odds as Danger Room, right? Everyone has experienced that playing a card on Danger Room. Usually it's like higher than 25%, right? So there is some chance that Bruce Banner can turn into Hulk. 25% is pretty high in my opinion. So another pro about him is that the player can potentially decide when the Hulk goes off. I think it's great that the player can decide on when they want the Hulk to go off or when they want to use energy or when they want to not use energy. It's really cool that the player has agency to decide on when to use Bruce Banner. So let's talk about the cons about Bruce Banner. Of course, it could be hard countered. It's a low powered card, so there are potential pitfalls with that. Relying on RNG or luck, right? The 25% is not guaranteed, so you are relying on RNG when you are not spending that energy. So another bad thing about him is that it's just a big power after Hulk, right? It's just the 12 powered and that's really it, right? It's a weak base power. So imagine if you get countered, that 1 powered is brutal if you're stuck with that 1 power, right? All right, now let's take a look at some of the synergies and counters for Bruce Banner. Let's take a look. So the first synergy that I want to talk about is High Evo. Of course, High Evo doesn't technically work with this Hulk, but it could work with the archetype that this Hulk fits into, right? So the cards that are surrounding this Bruce Banner definitely could get some benefit from High Evo. Another synergy is Cosmo, right? You want to definitely protect this Bruce Banner, especially against cards that I will mention in the future, especially counters. You definitely want to protect that Bruce Banner Hulk. So another synergy I want to talk about is Magic. You definitely want to extend the game to have better chance of getting Bruce Banner to go off as the Hulk. So you definitely want to keep extending the game, right? So now let's talk about the counters of Bruce Banner. Of course, Red Guardian is a great pick because Bruce Banner is a static or passive ability. So Red Guardian will definitely stop that. Shang-Chi is another great pick as a counter because of course the Hulk is 12 powered. So Shang-Chi, they definitely counter this card. So Lady Deathstrike is another spicy pick. She can destroy cards that are under 3 powered. So Bruce Banner is very weak in power. So she can destroy Bruce Banner before the Hulk goes off. So now let's take a look at some of the decks that I brewed for Bruce Banner and the Hulk. I think they're pretty fun and competitive. Let's take a look. So the first deck is called Banner Double Up. So the ideal goal of this deck is to throw down as much low cost cards at the end of the game and then reap all the benefits of all the power that we're generating at the end of the game. So for turn 1, Sunspot is a great option on curve. So King Eitri is another great pick on turn 1 just for Thor or Beta Ray Bill. You can, use King Eitri to get any of the hammers. Nico is a great pick just to juice up some of the cards. Her +2 power is great. Hydra Bob is another great value 1-cost card, especially near the end of the game, especially if you double up him with the Moon Girl. Bruce Banner is great on curve, or you can save Bruce Banner to double up with Moon Girl. Bruce Banner has immense value, especially being a low-cost card. Doubling him up with Moon Girl is insane. Armor is a great on curve play just to protect your big cards, especially at the end of the game, like Thor, Beta Ray Bill, or She-Hulk, or even Hitmonkey. Black Swan is a great on curve play, especially being a 2-cost. You would definitely want to play her early and then activate her on turn 5. Hitmonkey is definitely great to save near the end of the game, especially comboed with Black Swan. Having all those discounts on all those 1-cost cards, you definitely want to save those cards with Hitmonkey. Thor is great on curve, especially getting his hammer ready. I think it's totally fine to play him on curve. Moon Girl is great on curve on turn 4, definitely copying any of the 1-cost cards, or even Bruce Banner, or any of the hammers that you get from Thor or Beta Ray Bill. Beta Ray Bill is another great on curve play, especially getting a Stormbreaker going in your deck. She-Hulk is great in this deck because you're gonna be flooding a lot of energy with Sunspot, or even for Bruce Banner. So And you can even double up She-Hulk with Moon Girl, which is insane. All right, so now let's take a look at my second list. So this list is called Toxic Banner. So the ideal goal of this deck is to utilize high evolutionary, afflict a lot of negative damage, and reap all the benefits of afflicting that negative damage. So for turn 1, Silver Sable is great, especially when she's stealing power, basically afflicting damage to your opponent is good early on. Bruce Banner on curve is great here as well, especially when you're floating energy with high Evo. Hazmat is a great finishing option, so you definitely want to save her for the later turns. US Agent, same thing, you definitely want to save him for the later turns, but he's a great surprise card as a tech counter for all these big powered cards. Cassandra Nova is great, especially on curve, or you can save her for the later turns, especially if you're facing a big deck like Erisham or Thanos. Luke Cage is great to protect your own cards depending on the situation. Red Guardian is a great pick in this deck because it afflicts negative damage and it counters a lot of the cards in this meta.
Cyclops can be played on curve, but I think he's better to be played on turn 4 so he can afflict negative damage.
And I think it's great in this deck to afflict negative damage, and it could be saved for the later turns, or you could play him on curve. I think it's totally fine. Ajax is great in this deck, especially paired up with Hazmat, and Ajax will get all the benefit from all this negative affliction. A-Bomb will get discounted tremendously from all this negative damage, so you can definitely get A-Bomb to a very low cost. All right, so now let's take a look at my third and final list. So this list is called Evo Banner. This is my take on the classic high Evo archetype. So the ideal goal of this deck is to float a lot of energy, reap all the benefits from floating this energy, and just slam a lot of big power on the board. So for turn 1, Sunspot, Nebula, and Misty Knight are great picks. Sunspot is great in this list because you're floating a lot of energy. Nebula is great if you want to just distract your opponent and play her in a lane that you want them to play on. Misty Knight brings value in this deck, especially adding power and more power to your deck while you're floating energy. Bruce Banner is a great addition to this list, especially when you're floating a lot of energy. Of course, he loves floating energy. Armor is great in this list to protect all your big cards, especially when there's a Shang-Chi floating around. Magic is great to extend the game, especially for Bruce Banner, She-Hulk, Hulk, Sunspot, Cyclops. All those cards benefit from Magic. Red Guardian is great to counter the mirror matchup, especially if they're running Bruce Banner. Cyclops is great in this list. Of course, you gotta float energy for him to deal damage to your opponent. Luna Snow is great in this list to give you more energy to float. She-Hulk is great, especially if you're floating on turn 6. You can have She-Hulk completely zero cost. And Hulk is a great finisher in this list as well. All right, so now let's take a look at some of the spotlights that are featured with Bruce Banner. Let's take a look. So Bruce Banner is with High Evo and Ravonna. Bruce Banner is a Series 5, High Evolutionary is a Series 5, and Ravonna Renslayer is a Series 4 card. High Evo is a great card because it builds its own archetype. He's definitely a must-have for anyone in Marvel Snap. Ravonna is a great card, especially discounting a lot of cards that are very strong in the meta, so I think Ravonna is a definitely must-have. Definitely go get her. So for the spotlight variants, Bruce Banner, I'm not really huge on. I think there's definitely potential for better variants in the future. High Evo, I think it's okay, but I think it's definitely passable. The Sean Galloway, Ravonna, I'm not really huge on either. I think they're definitely passable. So remember, make sure you have 4 keys when you're opening for a brand new card. You definitely don't want to miss out or have any FOMO. So definitely be careful and make sure you have 4 keys. Now let's look at my star ratings for Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Let's take a look. So I gave him a 3 stars for competitive. I think the potential of him growing to 12 power is great, but there are a lot of pitfalls of counters, so definitely be careful of that. So for fun, I gave him a 4 stars. I think a lot of people will have fun with this card, especially seeing that 1 power grow to 12 power, which is insane. So I think a lot of people enjoy that.
Especially with the RNG side of him growing to the Hulk, I think a lot of people have fun with that. So for flexibility, I gave him a 2 stars. I think he has potential to be in other decks other than High Evo,
but we'll see what other people come up with. So for future changes, I give him a 2 stars. I think he's pretty much well balanced, but we'll see depending on the 25% how much it really goes off for people. I think he should be okay.
All right, so now let's take a look at my final review of Bruce Banner and the Hulk.
Is he worth a snap or skip? Let's take a look. So I say snap on Bruce Banner and the Hulk. I think his power is immense, especially being at 2 cost. I think the risk is worth it, especially that stat line is insane for a 2 cost card. You know, floating that energy will be pretty easy for a lot of people. And I think with the decks that you're gonna be seeing him with, I think you can protect him quite well. So I think he should be okay. So let me know your thoughts on Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Are there some synergies? Are there some decks that I missed out? Let me know in the comments below.
And if you haven't yet, please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. I would love for you to be a part of this amazing community here on YouTube. And I'll see you guys on the next Sniper Skip. Happy snapping.